When I show you the map of this Sonic level, what are the first words that probably come into your mind? Well, I know the first words that come into my mind. Geez, that's a big level. These type of level designs are what made classic Sonic games so great. You may think that with a level that big, it must take so long to traverse through, and you would only be half right. That's because Sonic is all about speed, and with his speed you can conquer these levels extremely fast, using Sonic's spin dash and jumping at the right time to make your bounces go higher. You can complete these levels very fast, but only if you, the player, is good enough to keep the speed going. The top path is usually always safer and the bottom path is more dangerous, punishing you for not being good enough while rewarding you for being good enough. In other words, speed was earned rather than just given. Sonic was so unique for his time in the early 90s, which made him a top competitor for Mario. That being said, after the days of the Genesis, Sonic Team had a rough time getting this 3'3" blue 2D hedgehog into a 5'1" blue 3D hedgehog with green eyes. Besides the struggle of getting actual good controls in a 3D environment, Sonic Team's biggest struggle was adapting the open-ended level design of the 2D games into 3D. There was a lot of work that had to be done to make it easier to have big open environments with linear sections without things being too open or too linear. They also had to amplify the scale of the ground. The steeper the slope, the faster Sonic goes, and the higher the slope, the slower he goes. Sonic Team really wanted the player to be introduced to the Z-axis in the best possible way. They wanted large places to explore without the player feeling lost at any time. The multiple routes and pathways to beat the level faster was handled nearly perfectly in Sonic Adventure 1, and possibly the greatest adaptation of 2D to 3D level design in any Sonic game besides Sonic Generations. Sonic Adventure was also a very ambitious game for the time. It had 6 playable characters with 6 different gameplay styles. For this video, I'm only going to be talking about the Sonic stages, as those were the levels that had the most amount of time and care put into. Oh, and one more thing. I'm using a few mods for SA1 to make the game closer to the original Dreamcast version. Don't worry, they're just cosmetic things like better lighting and the Dreamcast models. 3 years later, Sonic Adventure 2 released, and was the end of the Dreamcast, the last Sega game console. So they wanted to send off the Dreamcast with a bang, and I think they accomplished that. Sonic Adventure 2 only had 3 gameplay styles and 6 playable characters. With Sonic Adventure 1, they made each stage around almost every character. For example, both Sonic and Tails travel through Windy Valley, and Sonic and E102 Gamma travel through Emerald Coast. But in Sonic Adventure 2, each level was specifically made for each character, meaning only Sonic will travel through City Escape and Metal Harbor, for example. This means that every Sonic level was designed more around speed and doing special tricks to get a higher score. The levels were linear, but offered more speed and more thrills as you, well, speed through the levels. The controls were also pretty much the same as how they were in Adventure 1, so not much to say here. However, this video is more about comparing the level design of both games to one another. Which game do I think has the level design that's fun to explore, rewards you for exploring, which has better aesthetics, music, and rewarding of speed? However, because it's the first true 3D Sonic game, it's far from perfect, so I'm going to be analyzing every stage from Sonic Adventure individually. After I've done with SA1, I'll move on to SA2, and then make a conclusion after. So without further ado, let's get started with Emerald Coast. This level starts out with Sonic on the beachside next to some buildings. If you go back a little bit, you'll find 3 ring boxes that give you 10 each, which is just outstanding design, rewarding your curiosity right off the bat with a good amount of rings, causing you to think about exploring every nook and cranny that this level has. Once you get to this bridge section, you could be a total badass and spin dash jump on the higher part and take a shortcut, or you could go the normal way by running to these springs. Either way, you'll still make it to the loop, so don't worry about it. A cool secret in this next section is a 1-up all the way down there, which the camera sneakily points you to. So we are only at the second section of the level, and it's already telling us that the level design rewards curiosity. Another cool thing this level does is introduce us to long scripted sequences, which is a predefined series of events that occur when triggered by player location or actions that play out in the game engine, or basically something that's out of the player's hand for a period of time. This Orca section has become iconic, and is one of the best parts of the game. As a first level, I genuinely can't think of another Sonic game with a better opening stage. At just about every point there's something new to find, whether it's a box that contains some goodies, or an alternate pathway that leads into said goodies, epic sequences, and it has a high sense of speed throughout the entire level. And the music is also a jam as well. It's peaceful and really feels like you're at the beach during summertime taking a break from the world. This level just brings peace to me, so I'm saying that this is a wonderful stage with excellent design. Windy Valley is a huge level with wind mechanics, and they aren't intrusive at all. In fact, they actually help out Sonic when it comes to reaching higher pathways and ring boxes, and there's even a tornado which you fall into and gets dragged up to a higher point in the level. Does this make much sense scientifically? Probably not, but it's a cool little section that's very memorable. But this doesn't even come close to the next part of the stage. So far, there hasn't really been a section longer than like 15 seconds that is all about speed, but these long hallways are nothing but a spectacle and shows us how fast Sonic can really go when traveling down a slope. Now, I would say my only issue with the stage is actually the music. Even though there's 3 total songs that play, I can't really say that any of them are my favorites. I don't know why, but they never quite did it for me. Casinopolis is sadly my least favorite stage in the game. This level is all about pinball, and you need a certain amount of rings in order to get to the goal. And it involves you going through a sewer section that's way too long for its own good and a couple of pinball machines, which are cool, but I'm not the biggest fan of pinball, so this one is kind of a low point for me. And while yes, I will agree that the Knights cameo was cool, and the song that plays when you're the Sonic pinball machine is great, but that's really it for me. The rest of the level is a drag, and sorry if this one was a little shorter than the first 2, but I really don't like this level. But I would be lying my ass off if I didn't say that Ice Cap is an absolute banger of a stage. It starts out in a huge vertical cave which Sonic has to climb, and the music is very atmospheric and slow, and it really feels like you're going on an adventure. But oh man, after that bridge falls down comes the best part of the game. As Sonic notices an avalanche, he hops on a snowboard, and one of the best songs in the game starts playing. And as you traverse down the mountain, you're hit with an electrifying section as you're breaking ice, doing trick jumps off these ramps, and as the snow chases you down, you feel cool as hell. And it's much better from the snowboard part in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Level 5 is Twinkle Park, and I have mixed feelings on this one. On one hand, you get possibly the best open area for Sonic to explore in. It's a madhouse with an airship, bowling parts, tons of buildings to explore, and some very tight platforming, all while being a distinct part of the game that reminds me of a carnival. Lots of fun to be had here. However, the beginning of the stage just outright sucks. You're in this bumper cart for about a minute and a half, and it gets tedious on multiple playthroughs. The music, however, is composed nicely, and it's nice on the ears, but the level in general just isn't as consistent as I want it to be. Can I just say right now that Speed Highway is the best stage in the game? Like, oh my fucking god, this is the perfect Sonic level. There's a great sense of speed, so many hidden pathways, it's a huge level with the best song in the game. No matter how many times I fuck up, I can only blame myself because this level is so well designed around Sonic's speed that if you fall, then there's a good chance that you'll end up on another path that's just as fast. Halfway through the level, Sonic ends up running down a skyscraper into the downtown, with peaceful music that has such a great sense of flow. Also, one of my favorite parts of this section of the level is right here, where if you are tempted to go to the right, you'll find an extra life with a spring that sends you to the goal ring. However, the game lets you get there faster by being sent up by this water fountain, which is so cool. There's a reason why this level is remembered more than others. This is amazing. Red Mountain is my second favorite level in the game right next to Speed Highway. The first half of the level involves you climbing a mountain by using these rockets and zip lines, and geez, what's up with all the 1-ups in this level? They're fucking everywhere. The mountain itself is just really well designed and is in my opinion the standard of what a great Sonic level should be. At a certain point you'll end up inside the mountain, which is full of lava and is a blast to run through as you're avoiding so many more obstacles. There's also a long corridor with huge hammers. Don't ask me why Eggman decided to put those there because I don't think I've ever actually been hit by them. Then there's Sky Deck, which is a major pain in the ass no matter who you play. There's too many bottomless pits, the camera can get all funky and the level design near the end gets very awkward, and the level just doesn't really know when to fucking end. Definitely the low point of the game for me. Lost World is an alright stage. It starts out pretty good, but then for about half of it you're in water and trying to reach this giant snake. But it feels like the camera is constantly fighting against itself and it feels awkward as hell to play. But I love this dark room where you have to send light to these mirrors to light up the room. It has such a great sense of atmosphere and I can't think of any other Sonic level with this kind of mechanic. This section right here is pretty fun, but honestly it's only because I can use the spin dash to make these shortcuts. And then finally, there's Final Egg. This level has a lot of sections that remind me of the classic Sonic design. It also is a great final level with a lot of enemies and obstacles and these weird dolls. The level's construction is fantastic though. It really feels like this was a last-ditch effort by Dr. Eggman to stop Sonic. It's essentially a factory that gets more dangerous the further you go, and I'm so glad that Sonic's stories end like this, as I find this way more bearable than the previous two stages. And well, that's about it for Sonic Adventure 1. Overall, I'd say about 75% of it was good, but the other 25% is, well, that's where things get a little tricky. I'm definitely not the first person to say this, but SA1 has consistency problems. The game will force you to take part in minigames that aren't necessarily fun, and after the halfway point things start to drag. But I would be lying if I said I didn't go back to this game every now and then to play some of the Sonic levels. They're open-ended, rewards curiosity, they have great music, a great sense of speed, but it definitely has issues. Sonic Adventure 2 starts right off the bat with City Escape, which is without a doubt one of the most iconic first levels in any video game. Yeah, even more iconic than Emerald Coast from SA1. Look at you go, Sonic team. Sonic jumps out of a helicopter and snowboards down the city, easily one of the best openings to a game. Sonic can jump off these conveniently placed ramps and perform a trick jump for some style points, which teaches the player about the trick system. This stage is so energetic, and the music is fast and encapsulates the attitude of Sonic. One of the best design choices of the level is this wall right here. You can either take the boring way up these stairs, or you can run up the wall and get 10 rings. Also, SA2 introduces rails for rail grinding, which can make Sonic go really fast and could possibly net you some points. Getting all of the ramp tricks is so satisfying at this level. They really test out your skill and are so fun to go for. But the highlight of the level is the truck chase. It randomly appears and is exhilarating to go as fast as possible to escape it. The song that occupies City Escape is easily one of the best songs to come out of a video game, period. The only real issue I have with the stage is that there aren't many optional pathways, like here for example. Like, why am I confined to this road? Why can't I go to the side roads for some extra lives, rings, the works? But now we move on to Metal Harbor, where Sonic escapes prison. Yeah, there's a lot of escaping in this game. The stage is a bit on the shorter side, but it's very well paced as Sonic runs through the prison, and it's also the stage where you get the light speed dash, enabling you to zip through rings at a high speed. There's also a lot of homing attack chains, going through loops, and you can actually take a few shortcuts. Yeah, there's a lot of bottomless pits, but I never find myself falling into one. Near the end of the stage, Sonic catches this huge rocket, and although the regular route isn't too hard to get to, it's going for the secret path, which is needed to get the A rank, and you are barely given enough time to homing attack these enemies and lightspeed dash to get to the higher pole. But it's still a lot of fun, and it has a catchy song and a great setting. I've always been a fan of the prison design itself, and it offers a lot of replay value. In the forest of a prison island, Sonic has a battle with Shadow. After they fight, Eggman tells Shadow that the island will blow up, and with that, Sonic makes his great escape through the best level in the game, Green Forest. With the best instrumental track in the game, with level design that is very linear yet rewarding with the player's own solid gameplay. Out of all the levels in this game, this is the one that is probably the most linear, but I couldn't care less because this level is so exhilarating with all the grind rails you'll be on, all the loops you'll be running through, and the huge tree that Sonic climbs are all so much fun. Going through this level over and over again, it becomes more rewarding after every time as I try to perfect it. A few times while playing the level, Sonic grabs a hold of a vine and looks cool as hell as he swings around a large tree. There's also one vine that if you hold down the jump button, Sonic will do a dive, and the longer you hold it, you can get a ring box and even a 1-up. Design like this balances out how narrow the level itself is, and is always a blast whenever I play it. Pyramid Cave is a very interesting level. It's actually Eggman's base that the heroes find, therefore there's a lot of unique architecture. And this place is huge with a ton of hourglasses that open doors when hit, a ton of loops and cool imagery. Oh, and also this is where you get the bounce bracelet, which allows Sonic to do a bounce kinda like the bubble shield from Sonic 3. Now, if you've played this game, you know this level's problems. As much as I love the music, atmosphere, and design of the pyramid itself, I can't deny that the two downsides of this level are pretty fucking major downsides. First, you have these stupid ghosts, and when they catch you, because on your first playthrough they will, they completely halt progression by grabbing Sonic and forcing you to mash to get out. These fuckers can kiss my ass because they completely come out of nowhere and are just a slap to the face when it comes to pacing. And look, I understand the whole ghost thing that's happening here with King Boom Boo, yes that's his name, but it still shouldn't have been like this. Then there's the sections right after the coolest shot in the level. As Sonic is riding a grind rail, you see the actual pyramid the heroes are going to. But then you're hit in the face as the next part requires you to take a right and go all the way to the end of this hallway to pick up this weird key thing, to then backtrack all the way here to throw it in. Yeah, this is one of the worst moments in the game for me. But even then, it only lasts about 30 seconds, so I'll give it a bit of slack. Overall, Pyramid Cave is a really fun level, but it's got quite a few inconsistencies to make me love it more. And the hallway design for about 30% of the level doesn't help much either. The second to final level is Crazy Gadget, which is a level a lot of people like to slander because of the gravity mechanics, but I'm here to say that Crazy Gadget is a bit of an underrated level. Not perfect as it has very questionable enemy placement and these Chaos clones can outright fuck themselves. And the ending is easily the worst in the game. No seriously, I had to look up a fucking guide here because I had no idea which way the game wanted me to go. And although I'm sure there's probably a couple of hidden pathways, it still shouldn't be this stupid. However, this level actually had some good ideas. There's some rails on the ceiling that isn't inherently different from the rest, but is a nice way to change up the formula a bit. The main gimmick of Crazy Gadget are these gravity control switches, allowing you to control where gravity takes you depending on where the arrow points. As much as I hate gravity mechanics in video games, especially platformers, I'll go out and say that these aren't actually that bad. It doesn't reverse the control in any way, so I'll give it a pass. And finally, there's Final Rush. For about 75% of the stage, you're doing nothing but rail grinding. Surprisingly, there's a lot of alternative paths in this level, and shortcuts are rewarded when thinking outside the box. It's also very dangerous, as the entire level is basically one big bottomless pit. But whenever I happen to fall, it feels like it's my fault rather than the game being poorly designed. The ending is also such an amazing tribute to the truck chase at the beginning of City Escape with Sonic running downhill from debris, ending the Sonic levels in the adventure games. Okay, so after going through every single Sonic level in both Adventure 1 and Adventure 2, which game do I think has better level design? Well, it's actually closer than you think. Although the stages are very linear in SA2 and don't offer as many rewards for taking other routes, I can't help but love these stages. There's something about hitting every trick ramp, getting large homing attack combos, and doing extra things to get the A rank that make me love playing them. Also, I do love going fast, and if there's one thing SA2 delivers in over SA1, is definitely the consistency. Things are faster and don't break the pace as often. However, Sonic Adventure 1, I genuinely believe, especially as Sonic, that these levels signify what I know Sonic for. Huge areas for Sonic to go fast in, that's more up to the player rather than the game telling me to. Getting a bunch of little goodies for going off the beaten path, well-timed jump to take shortcuts and such. There's definitely problems with both games, but Sonic Adventure 1 beats out Sonic Adventure 2.